OWASP Top 10, Broken Access Control. Definition: broken access control vulnerabilities occur when restrictions on what authenticated users are allowed to do are not properly enforced. Attackers can exploit these flaws to access unauthorized functionality or data, such as accessing other users' accounts, viewing sensitive files, and modifying data. Example: an application fails to enforce proper authorization checks, allowing a user to access administrative functions by simply changing the URL or HTTP request parameters. Causes: inconsistent authorization checks. Failing to consistently enforce authorization checks across all endpoints and functions can lead to unauthorized access. Excessive permissions. Granting users more permissions than necessary, such as providing administrative rights to regular users, increases the risk of exploitation. Insecure direct object references, IDOR directly referencing objects, e.g., user IDs, file names, in URLs or parameters without proper access control checks can expose sensitive data. Impact: data breaches. Attackers can access and exfiltrate sensitive information, leading to data breaches and potential regulatory penalties. Privilege escalation. Exploiting broken access controls can allow attackers to escalate their privileges, gaining unauthorized access to administrative functions and data. Data manipulation. Unauthorized users can modify, delete, or corrupt data, causing integrity issues and potentially damaging the application's functionality. Detection: penetration testing. Conduct regular penetration testing to identify and exploit potential access control weaknesses. Code reviews. Perform thorough code reviews to ensure that access control mechanisms are correctly implemented and consistently applied throughout the application. Monitoring and logging. Implement detailed logging and monitoring of access attempts and actions to detect and respond to unauthorized access attempts. Prevention. Implement principle of least privilege. Ensure that users are granted the minimum permissions necessary to perform their tasks. Regularly review and update permissions to prevent privilege creep. Use centralized access control mechanisms. Utilize centralized and consistent access control mechanisms to ensure that all access checks are applied uniformly. Validate access controls. Ensure that access control checks are performed on both client and server sides. Never rely solely on client-side validation. Secure direct object references. Use indirect references, e.g., mapping user-visible IDs to internal IDs, and validate access rights before allowing access to objects. Regular audits and updates. Conduct regular security audits and keep access control policies and mechanisms up to date to adapt to new threats and changes in the application. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and follow us on all our social media.